So we have a cooling issue in my 88 F350. Not really a cooling issue as it works when there's coolant in it, but I have a aluminum radiator here, and it has sprang a pinhole leak right here. It's up in this corner right here. It'd be the top passenger side, right where the side tanks meet up. From the part number here, it seems to be a Champion brand radiator. Those run about $250 to $300 depending on 3-row or 4-row. Now, seeing that has a part number of CU, that means it's a 3-row according to Champion's website. But I ordered the 4-row, which is a MC 1165. Now, this costed me $315 shipped to the house. And this is also kind of an unboxing. This is what I got by buying this. It looks like the box took a little bit of damage, but nothing that went actually through it. Is more of a depression. The end of the box is open. That's the way it came. I don't see anything hurting it down in there. And it looks to be nice and unharmed, I guess you'd say. I see one hole right there that I'm hoping it didn't touch it on the back side. It looks like it didn't. So from the get-go, I am not a fan of the Champion brand in terms of their packaging. I feel it could have been done better with some more cardboard here to save those fins in case something rubbed up against it, brushed. I mean, you can't fix everything, but I feel like they could have done a little extra besides one little layer of cardboard. Other than that, it's a nice looking radiator. Again, it's only $315 shipped to my door, and it replaces the regular 1165 / whatever number for any others. So first things first, we're going to go ahead and remove this overflow tank hose here. Just a simple screwdriver will take that off. I actually opted for a 1/4 inch ratcheting wrench that they bought me for Christmas, so thank you, Dad. You're just, using the tools you gave me. So we'll go ahead and slide that clamp back and then pull that back. Actually tried to seize to it. Pull it on through. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and take our fan shroud off. I'm not going to actually take it completely out. I'm just going to take it, unbolt it, and just set it back so that this can pull up. Now, to remove that, you have 4 of these bolts, 2 on each side, and they are an 11/16 inch. Alright, go ahead at this point and untwist your drain petcock. Make sure you have something to hold about 10 gallons of coolant. And then when it's drained, go ahead and remove your lower radiator hose. And then your radiator will be free to lift out. Alright, so we got the fan shroud laid back. Taking the upper radiator hose off. Now, at this point, we've already got everything drained out, as we already undid the petcock at the bottom of the radiator. Everything's drained out. It's ready to go. Oh, it's cold out today, so these hoses are stiff. Again, if you've drained this already, which you should have, because that would be more time efficient, you should do it in a container large enough to hold about 8 to 10 gallons, easy. That way you don't tip it over, spill it on the ground, and make sure it's covered so that dogs and other small animals don't get into it, drink it, and pass away. Right, now at this point, the radiator's drained, got the hoses unhooked, fan shroud's out of the way. So there's these, I don't know what you call them, caps, I guess, that run all the way down the sides. And there's 4 bolts. There's one here, next one down, And they use these slots here to allow you to get a socket back there. And then there's 2 more on this side. Those are 10 millimeter, so go ahead and remove those at this time. So now we've got everything unhooked except for those 2 end caps. So now this is the point where you really needed your Wheaties for the morning. And you lift everything straight up. So now that this is all out, we can swap these braces here. I guess not caps, but braces is a good word for it. These are 1/2 inch, so there's 4. There's 2 at the top, 2 at the bottom, and then there's the same on each side. Now that I've actually got this apart, you can investigate with me here as to where this actually started at. This is the top right hand corner. I might actually have this record as a spare, just to have a spare radiator on hand for this truck, or even if I buy another one, I'd at least have one for it. Everything else on this radiator seems to be intact. It's got virtually nothing's touched the fins. Everything looks good overall. Just needs to be cleaned, and it looks like that pulled away from the side there just a tad. So yeah, I can't complain about the service I've gotten, because I didn't pay a dime for the radiator. I've had this truck roughly 3 years, driving it almost every day, and no issues. So there's 3 years out of me. God knows when it was put in. It was sometime before the 5-speed swap though, because they actually had the transmission lines hooked up. So I would say this has had at least a 4 to 5 year lifespan so far. All right, so with the difference between the old 3-row, new 4-row is one nice, neat, sleek top to it. Now this looks to be a tight fit, like they could have brought it up a 1/4 inch more and made it a little easier, but I can live with that. Noted that between the old radiator there is, the biggest thing is that it doesn't require you to use your old bracing. It actually has all that built in, so that's a nice feature. I like that. They thought forward with that. But on the other hand, I kind of like the idea of just using that. But it is what it is. We'll move on. Next thing I've noticed that's a big difference in between the 2 radiators is this one just seems a little thicker, like maybe, I don't know, 3/8 of an inch thicker. I might be wrong on that, but visually, and it could be the square, and the square always looks bigger than round. I don't know, it just seems to be much larger. Another note is you're going to have to remove these little vibration isolator deals out of your stock steel bracing, so you can put it over onto the new radiator. They actually built all that in there. So again, it's a one-piece setup. You trade your isolators out if you've got them, hopefully, and drop it in and you're done. This method seems to work, is just wiggle this down far enough to get a pry bar in and just slide forward. Now again, you're going to do some wiggling back and forth like this, but I just basically coated it straight up with some WD-40 to give it a slickness to allow for it to slide out. So at that point, that one is done. We'll go ahead, we'll just start with WD on the other one, and like I said, you just soak it, just let it do its thing. WD is not a penetrant, but that's not what we're going for here. We're going for straight up just slickness. Oh yeah, that slid down about 1/8 of an inch. And basically, like I said, just hog it out there. Just push, push, push. But be careful or you will tear those and then you'll be up the creek. So again, just after you doused it in WD, slide it down we're good to go. Alright, so now all we're going to do is slide these right up in there. Repeat on the other side, and you're ready to set the new radiator in. Alright. Now herein becomes a problem. So my nice pretty radiator doesn't fit in the slot just yet. There we go. A little further down. I just didn't go all the way. I was being a bit of a pansy about it. You would too if you just dropped $300 and some on a radiator. So now the nice pretty radiator fits in. I don't want to let it rest against that fan. So at this point, we're going to go ahead and put the bolts in and get everything prepped up and ready to start this thing up. So there it is. New Champion 4-row with an AC truck. I meant to mention that earlier. The truck did have AC, so you want to go ahead and order things for an AC truck. Alright, so I've already got my bolts WD-40'd, ready to go in. So at this point, it is literally just the reverse of what we did to get this thing out of here. So it looks like a little bit of a fitment issue here, but I think I can get it. There we go. Yeah. So we'll go ahead and finish all 4 of those bolts. Put the hoses back on, bolt the fan shroud back on, and everything's ready to go. I didn't pay attention to it earlier, but I wanted to make a comment about this. Instead of the plastic petcock, they give you an actual metal one. So what I'm probably going to do is take that petcock and get me a piece of metal tubing and bring it down to where I can actually aim it, so I can put a piece of hose under whatever and aim it later on. That's a project for later, or maybe at the next fill up of coolant or whatever. And yeah, so at this point I'm going to go ahead and put my radiator hose back on, tighten the clamp, and then I can start filling the radiator up from the top. Alright, so I've got the old radiator. I stuck everything, bolts and all, in this box. I'm just going to put it in the shed, and I want to actually try to get this one fixed so it's a backup for my new one, or if I get another truck and it needs a radiator, I already got one. Don't have to go and pay $300-400 for one. Anyways, truck is getting ready to be started up. So far, I have no qualms about anything so far about the Champion MC 1165 4-row radiator. In terms of fitment, everything fit up perfect. The only thing left is to put a couple bolts in here. Some of these clips actually broke out, and I just put one at the top corner there and one at the bottom over here, just to hold this shroud in till I get new screws and clips. They're the little I call them zip clips from Ford, but I actually bought a whole thing of these from Harbor Freight, so I just need to get some bolts to run through it and be done. One note I did not put into the video earlier is those little clips have to be transferred from your old bracing to the new. It does not come with new ones, so you want to go ahead and do that at the same time you're putting everything in.